In the dusty heat of a Texas town in 1939, a young boy named Darius Carter began his days long before the sun rose. Every morning, he set up his modest, shoe-shining stall on the busy sidewalk in front of a grand bank building. Unlike most children his age, Darius did not dream of simple pleasures. He dreamed of something far greater. He listened intently to the hushed conversations of wealthy patrons stepping into the bank. Their words, filled with financial wisdom and secrets, stirred in him an unquenchable desire to learn about money and business. Even though he was forced into a humble role, shining shoes for pennies, Darius recorded every fragment of conversation in a battered notebook. He was determined to absorb the knowledge that the rich, predominantly white, clientele casually discussed as they waited for their appointments. Darius grew up in a time when opportunities for black people were scarce and discrimination ran deep. His father, a hardworking man, often told him that his dreams of entering the world of finance were impossible. Yet Darius's eyes burned with determination. Every day after school, he would return to that same spot, his notebook always tucked safely in his pocket, and he practiced counting coins, balancing ledgers in his head, and reciting financial terms he had learned from overheard conversations. Even when he was scorned by those who looked down upon him, he refused to let prejudice dampen his spirit. He believed that knowledge was the key to a better future. 15 years passed. Now a young man in his mid-20s, Darius decided to leave behind the oppressive small town of his youth and move to Los Angeles with his loving wife, Serena, and their 2 small children. In Los Angeles, the atmosphere was not as stifling as in Texas, and there was a promise of new beginnings in the air. Yet the legacy of segregation still lingered, and many aspects of life continued to be influenced by racial bias. Darius, however, had a plan. He had always been fascinated by real estate and had spent years studying the market patterns of his former hometown and the city beyond. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, he started his career as a real estate agent, not only to earn a living, but to transform the housing landscape for his people. As he walked the streets of Los Angeles, Darius noticed a striking disparity. In many white neighborhoods, large homes and apartments sat nearly empty while the black community was crammed into overcrowded and run-down areas. It was clear to him that there was a demand for quality housing among his people, a need that was not being met by the existing market. Using the discipline he had cultivated in his youth, Darius began analyzing listings, studying the market, and carefully inspecting properties. His keen observation allowed him to spot a neglected apartment complex owned by a white landlord. The building had a weathered front door and weeds creeping around its entrance. It was located right on the edge of a densely populated black neighborhood. Darius saw potential where others saw decay. He approached the owner with a proposal. "I have noticed that you have only rented out a portion of your building," Darius said with calm assurance. "Why not sell the entire property to me? I will offer you a substantial sum up front and a bonus once I have fully occupied the building." Although the owner admired Darius's bold idea, he was wary of venturing into unfamiliar territory. Darius left the meeting with the owner, but not with defeat. Instead, his mind raced with ideas. As he glanced at the owner's calendar, he noticed a name, one belonging to a local bank manager. An idea began to take shape in his mind. Determined to turn his dreams into reality, Darius walked directly to the bank where he had once shined shoes. He hoped to speak with the bank manager to secure a loan for his business venture. However, upon arriving at the bank, he was met with cold indifference. The bank's secretary, whose disdain for black customers was evident, refused to let him see the manager. Darius waited for hours outside the bank, his resolve growing stronger with each passing minute. When the manager finally emerged, Darius approached him with respectful confidence. "I know you have valued clients who could benefit from the business I plan to undertake," Darius explained. "I request a loan to purchase a promising property. I am willing to work hard, and my business will also bring additional customers to this bank." The manager dismissed his request without a second thought, his tone condescending and abrupt. That evening, Darius received a call from the bank owner. The owner inquired whether Darius had misused his name in an attempt to secure a loan. Darius apologized, But the owner did not scold him. Instead, he expressed a quiet admiration for the young man's persistence. Moved by Darius's unwavering determination, the owner agreed to guarantee the loan. For the first time in his life, Darius received a loan from the bank. With that opportunity in hand, he purchased the neglected apartment building. Not long after closing the deal, an elderly white woman returned home from shopping and found Darius standing at her door. "What are you doing here?" she demanded in a harsh tone. Darius replied calmly, "I am renovating the apartment building. I assure you, I will take excellent care of this property." The woman's expression twisted into one of anger, and she called the police, accusing him of impersonating the owner. Unfazed, Darius produced a copy of the real estate certificate, leaving the police no choice but to acknowledge that the property was indeed his. Over the next few days, the woman, unwilling to live in a building now owned by a black man, moved out in anger. Darius promptly rented out the now vacant units to members of his community, quickly filling the building with tenants who were hungry for better living conditions. Word of Darius's successful venture spread quickly throughout the neighborhood. His acumen in real estate and his ability to see opportunity where others only saw neglect earned him the admiration of many. Yet the path was still fraught with challenges. Not long after his first big deal, Darius received an invitation to collaborate with a prominent white landlord who had noticed his rising star. They discussed future projects and potential profit-sharing arrangements that would allow Darius to expand his portfolio, all while keeping the workings of the business hidden from the prying eyes of those who would use racial prejudice against him. As Darius's reputation grew, so did his ambition. He began to realize that his dreams were larger than just flipping a few apartment buildings. The real breakthrough came one day when he noticed that every time he stepped into a bank in Los Angeles, he was met with derision and closed doors. He knew that if he could control the institution itself, he could not only secure loans for his ventures, but also force a change in the discriminatory practices of the local banking industry. In a moment of brilliant insight, Darius conceived a daring plan. He would buy the bank. To execute such a plan, Darius knew he needed partners who shared his vision and were willing to take risks. He reached out to a fellow black entrepreneur, Kwame Johnson, who had made modest gains in the real estate market. Kwame was initially skeptical of Darius's bold idea, given the enormous cost of acquiring a bank in downtown Los Angeles. But as Darius laid out his meticulously prepared business plan and financial projections, Kwame saw the logic and potential behind the plan. Together, they began to strategize, pooling their resources and drawing up detailed plans that would eventually enable them to challenge the entrenched racial discrimination in the banking sector. Next, Darius sought a trusted intermediary who could serve as the public face of their new venture. He found a promising young man named Trevor, a white business graduate with an impressive grasp of numbers and market trends. Trevor was not only capable, but also eager to be part of a revolutionary plan that promised to reshape the financial landscape. Darius, Kwame, and Trevor formed an unlikely but determined team. They spent long nights in cramped offices, poring over market data, negotiating with reluctant sellers, and preparing to make a bid for a bank building that housed several banks within one structure. The building in question was an old, stately structure in the heart of Los Angeles. Although it had a respectable exterior, inside it was run down and in need of serious renovation. Darius and his team saw this as a golden opportunity. By purchasing the building, they would not only control a bank, but also send a strong message to the discriminatory practices that had long held back black entrepreneurs. Their plan was audacious. If they owned the building, the bank inside would have no choice but to do business with them. Banks relied heavily on the reputation and influence of their physical branches. Once Darius and his team took over the building, other banks would be forced to treat them with respect and provide the financial services necessary for further expansion. After months of negotiation, Darius, Kwame, and Trevor managed to secure a deal that was as favorable as it was unexpected. They acquired the building for a fraction of its market value, a testament to Darius's shrewd negotiating skills and the detailed financial analysis that Trevor had provided. The deal was so impressive that even the white bank managers, who had once scorned Darius, were forced to acknowledge his brilliance. Whenever Darius entered or left the building, bank presidents and managers came forward to shake his hand in reluctant admiration. Business boomed in the months that followed. Darius used the bank's newfound respectability to secure better loans and to gain access to information about the real estate market. His ventures expanded rapidly as he broke down the strict zoning barriers that had long kept black communities confined to overcrowded and substandard living conditions. Many young, talented black entrepreneurs began to move into neighborhoods that had previously been dominated by white residents. This shift not only improved the quality of housing for many, but also sparked a broader economic transformation in the region. For a time, it seemed that Darius's innovative ideas and unwavering determination were paying off. His business empire expanded, and he moved his family from their modest apartment into a beautiful mansion. He had achieved what many had thought impossible for a black man in that era. Yet, as with every great success, challenges soon emerged. The white business establishment, threatened by the rise of Darius and his partners, began to scheme behind the scenes. A longtime associate of a prominent white landlord, a man named Robert Florence Jr., started investigating the loans and transactions made by Darius's bank. Robert began to circulate whispers of irregularities, hinting that the loans approved by Darius and his team were fraught with problems. One day, Robert confronted Trevor about the questionable loans. The confrontation escalated quickly, and soon, federal bank examiners arrived at the bank to scrutinize the institution's operations. Under the intense pressure of the examiners, it was discovered that several loans had been approved without proper protocols. Darius was shocked and dismayed to learn that these problematic loans had been inserted into the system by Robert himself, who had exploited a loophole to undermine Darius's achievements. In a chaotic series of events, the federal authorities moved swiftly. The bank's operating license was at risk of being revoked, and soon the Federal Bureau of Investigation arrived to arrest Darius and Kwame. Despite their attempts to stand their ground, the combined weight of racial politics and fraudulent practices led to a protracted legal battle. The courtroom drama that followed was a long and arduous process, with Darius and Kwame facing charges that many believed were trumped up by a system determined to see them fail. Their case became a lightning rod for discussions on racial discrimination in the financial industry. At one point, Trevor, who had been a trusted front man for the team, was pressured into testifying against his partners in exchange for his freedom. The betrayal cut deep, but it was emblematic of the harsh reality that even allies could be swayed by the lure of self-preservation in a biased legal environment. In the end, the trial dragged on for months. The relentless legal battles, combined with mounting public pressure, eventually led to a Senate hearing that scrutinized the entire financial system's treatment of black entrepreneurs. Darius, standing in front of a panel of senators, spoke with quiet dignity about the racial discrimination he had faced throughout his life. He recounted the early days when he shined shoes in front of that grand bank, the countless moments of humiliation, and the long, determined journey that had led him to buy the very bank that had once rejected him. His testimony resonated with many, but it also stirred controversy. The outcome of the hearing was far from certain. Ultimately, despite the strength of his arguments, the legal system, mired in its own racial biases and bureaucratic inertia, did not reward Darius and Kwame with the justice they deserved. Their fortunes were decimated. The partners were sentenced to federal prison for their alleged role in the improper loans, and Robert Florence Jr. acquired the bank for a pittance compared to what Darius had invested. The collapse of their empire was a bitter pill to swallow. Yet, even in the depths of defeat, Darius's spirit remained unbroken. Years later, after serving their sentences, Darius and Kwame were released from prison. To the outside world, it appeared that their dreams had been shattered. But for those who truly knew them, there was an unspoken understanding that their struggle was far from over. Despite losing nearly all of their hard-earned fortune, Darius and Kwame still retained a few key properties that had once been instrumental in their fight against housing segregation in Los Angeles. In a surprising twist, They discovered that these properties included 2 adjoining mansions in the Bahamas, an unexpected symbol of their resilience and ingenuity. When Darius returned to his hometown in Texas for a visit, he encountered a scene that stirred memories of his humble beginnings. Walking along the streets, he noticed a young boy shining shoes outside a bank, the very same job he had once done. But this boy, much like Darius in his youth, faced discrimination simply because of the color of his skin. The sight of the boy working exclusively for white customers ignited something deep within Darius. He realized that his journey was not merely about personal success. It was about challenging an unjust system and creating opportunities for future generations. Motivated by this encounter, Darius convened a meeting with Kwame and a few trusted associates. They discussed new ways to leverage their remaining assets to help the Black community secure better housing and access to financial resources. Their vision was clear: to create a legacy that would dismantle the barriers of segregation and bring economic empowerment to those who had long been oppressed. The group began investing in properties in underserved neighborhoods, providing loans to small business owners, and setting up programs to educate young people about financial literacy. Their efforts, though modest compared to their earlier ambitions, slowly began to change the economic landscape of their community. Darius's journey, from a determined shoe shiner outside a bank in Texas to a daring entrepreneur in Los Angeles, and finally to a community leader fighting systemic injustice, became a symbol of hope and resilience. His life was a testament to the power of knowledge, perseverance, and the refusal to be defined by discrimination. Despite facing overwhelming obstacles and enduring personal losses, Darius continued to strive for a more equitable future. In the years that followed, Darius worked tirelessly to rebuild his reputation and his business. He partnered with other Black entrepreneurs and community activists, organizing workshops on financial management and property investment. Slowly but surely, his efforts bore fruit. Young people in the community began to see new possibilities. The once overcrowded neighborhoods saw signs of revitalization, with renovated houses and new businesses emerging where there had once been decay and neglect. Darius also became a respected voice in local politics, speaking out against policies that perpetuated segregation and economic disparity. His speeches, filled with wisdom drawn from a lifetime of struggle and triumph, resonated with many. He argued passionately for reforms in the banking industry and the real estate market, urging lawmakers to implement measures that would ensure equal opportunities for all citizens regardless of their skin color. His advocacy sparked debates and gradually influenced policy changes that opened doors for future generations. As his influence grew, Darius never forgot the lessons of his early years. He continued to visit the old bank building where he had once shined shoes and sat on a worn bench outside, reflecting on the journey that had brought him so far. Each time he returned, he saw not only the physical scars of the past, but also the potential for change that lay ahead. He shared his story with young, aspiring entrepreneurs, encouraging them to pursue their dreams despite the odds. "The system may be stacked against you," he would say, "but your determination and intellect can break through any barrier." One warm summer afternoon, during a community event aimed at celebrating local business achievements, Darius was invited to speak before a large crowd. Standing on a modest stage set up in a renovated community center, he looked out at a sea of faces, young and old, Black and white, hopeful and weary. With a calm and steady voice, he recounted the struggles he had faced, the humiliation he had endured, and the triumphs he had achieved against all odds. His words carried the weight of experience and the promise of a brighter future. "I began my journey as a young boy, shining shoes outside a bank that refused me entry," Darius said, his eyes sweeping over the audience. "I listened to the secrets of the wealthy and dreamed of a day when I would control not only my own destiny, but also help lift up my community. Today we stand at a crossroads. The same system that once barred me from opportunities still tries to hold back so many. But I am here to tell you that change is possible. With courage, determination, and unity, We can reshape our future and build a world where everyone has a fair chance." The crowd erupted in applause. Many moved to tears by his sincerity and strength. That day, Darius's story was no longer just his own. It became a rallying cry for a community determined to overcome the legacy of discrimination and build a better tomorrow. In the decades that followed, the legacy of Darius Carter grew far beyond the borders of his hometown. His business ventures evolved into a network of investments that spanned multiple cities, and his influence in both real estate and banking helped pave the way for countless Black entrepreneurs who had once been denied opportunities. His efforts not only improved access to housing and financial services, but also challenged the status quo of segregation and economic inequality. Darius's journey was marked by both triumph and sacrifice. He faced numerous setbacks, including legal battles and financial losses, but his resilience never wavered. Every challenge only reinforced his belief that the system could be changed if people dared to question it and work together for the common good. Even during the darkest moments, when the weight of injustice seemed overwhelming, Darius found strength in his community and in the unwavering hope for a better future. Today, as the sun sets over the bustling streets of Los Angeles and the echoes of past struggles mingle with the sounds of new beginnings, the story of Darius Carter remains a powerful reminder of what one person can achieve. His legacy is etched not only in the buildings he once owned or the banks he transformed, but in the lives of those he inspired. His name has become synonymous with courage, perseverance, and the belief that the fight for justice is a journey worth taking, no matter how steep the path may be. Darius Carter's life serves as a beacon for all who have ever been marginalized or underestimated. From the humble beginnings of shining shoes in front of a grand bank to the bold act of buying the very institution that had once turned him away, his journey is a testament to the power of determination and the strength of the human spirit. In every community that continues to struggle against discrimination, his story offers hope. A hope that one day, every individual will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character and the strength of their dreams. And so, as future generations gather to learn about the pioneers who broke down barriers and redefined what was possible, the tale of Darius Carter will be told over and over again. It is a story of transformation and redemption, a story of a man who refused to accept the limits imposed upon him by society. It is a story that challenges us all to look beyond prejudice, to see the potential in every person, and to strive for a world where fairness and opportunity are not dictated by race, but by the merit of one's actions. In the end, Darius Carter did more than just build a successful business empire. He changed the very fabric of his community and left behind a legacy that continues to inspire millions. His journey reminds us that every setback holds the seeds of future success, and that the most profound change often begins with a single, determined step forward. His life is a testament to the idea that when we combine hard work with unwavering hope, even the most entrenched barriers can be overcome. This is the story of Darius Carter, a man who rose from humble beginnings to challenge an unjust system, who turned discrimination into opportunity, and who, against all odds, reshaped the world around him. His legacy endures in every building renovated, in every bank that now treats its customers with respect, and in every life that has been touched by his courage and vision. His journey continues to serve as a guiding light for all who dare to dream of a fairer, more inclusive future.